what we're going to be doing today is making the main body of this mug here. Okay, the main body of this particular mug here. Now our one is nearly the same except that it's green in color. It's not black in color. So that's what I'm going to be starting with. So you should open up SolidWorks, go to your desktop screen. You're looking at right clicking this here, click open. It might be slightly different. It might say 2017 or 2016 here, but this is the album SolidWorks. SolidWorks will open up to look like this. It might have more writing on one side, but it will essentially be this. You go to File, you go to New, you go to Part, and then you click OK. Okay, so first thing to do, and the first thing you do at the start of every video, is go over here to the right hand side. It might say Custom, it might say MMGS, it might say IPS. But regardless of what it says, click this bottom right hand corner, make sure it's in MMGS before you start. That means your computer is now set to millimeters. But you will have to do that every time you switch on SolidWorks. Now I'll try and remind you in the videos as much as I can. So we're going to start with a cylinder, which is the main shape of the body. So I go to the top, word top over here, or top plane. I right click top. I click the very first button to the left of the glasses, which is sketch. Turns around in front of you. I then go to circle. So I click the drop down arrow and I click circle. I bring my mouse over and I wait for the two arrows to turn into an orange dot. Once the orange dot appears, I click once. Drag my mouse out. So no matter how big you make the circle for the first time, click again. To stop drawing circles, click Escape, ESC, in the top left hand corner of your keyboard. Click Escape. I then go to Smart Dimension. Anywhere I like on the outside, I click the outside of that circle. I drag the mouse out. I click again to drop the number. And I'm going to change that number to 89. When you have that done, click the green tick. That's the outside measurement of the mug. When that's done, go to Features, just up here at the top. Go to Extruded Base, just up here in the top left. You'll see the circle turning 3D now in a second. And I change the number 10 here on the left hand side. I delete that out and I'm going to have that 85, which is the height of the ceramic. So I change to 85 and I click the green tick again. Now, so you have a cylinder in front of you. There's a few things to learn here. I have to put the handle on next. But before I can put the handle on, I want to just talk about the roller on the mouse because I'm going to be using a lot of that for putting the handle on. So if you roll the roller on the middle of your mouse normally, you'll see that the cylinder moves in and out, okay? But the problem is sometimes it could end up being over here, which is no good. To get the cylinder back to where you want it, you click F, F for Finland or F for find on your keyboard, and it'll bring it right back to the middle. The next thing that you do with the roller is if you hold down the roller like a button, just hold it down and move your mouse at the same time, you're able to rotate the object in any direction you like. But again, you might end up with the object like this and you want to have it the correct way around. So what I do is I click the space bar on my keyboard and I click the option here which is 3D. When I click that, it'll spin it back around into the correct layout. Okay, so that's that done. So you might want to practice that a few times in the video before you move on to make sure you're okay, and ask me any questions that you might have while I'm floating around the room. Now I'm going to put the handle on. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to right click front and I'm going to click the very first button, sketch. It's always going to be right click sketch when we're starting a new bit. I click the space bar and I click normal 2. Now this will be the trickiest part of tonight's class. Okay, this will be the trickiest part, is getting this handle put on properly onto the mug. To do that, we're going to use a function here called spline. So I'm going to click spline. Now, I'm going to start inside here, roughly in here in the grey. Now, don't worry about how high or how far, just somewhere like where I am now, and I'm going to normal click once. Because we'll put measurements on it in a few minutes. I'm then going to head out here, I'm going to normal click another time. Then going to head down here, I'm going to normal click again. So you see the line is after flexing to come to me. I normal click again. And then finally I click one more time back inside here in the grey, anywhere you like, normal click again. When you have all that done, push escape on your keyboard and you'll end up with something like what I have. It won't be identical, but we're going to put a few measurements onto it now that will make it identical. So once you have that, come over here to Smart Dimension. The first measurement I want to do, you need to pick up the edge of the mug. So you'll see that the yellow symbol will appear beside your cursor and it has a green line drawn on it. That can be tricky to get to come up. So just move your mouse over and back a few times. It will appear and the edge of the mug will turn orange. You click that once. You come over, you click that dot, the dot now, the very end of it, make sure it's the dot. Drag that number up. And I want that measurement to please be 20. So change from 14 to 20. And I want to do the very same thing at the bottom. I click this edge here. I click that dot there. And I change that number to be 20. When we have that done, click the green tick. Okay, next measurement. So we'll go to Smart Dimension again. From the top of the mug to that line, so at this distance now, that needs to be a total of 15. 15. I click the green tick. And this one, from the bottom of the mug to that end point there, that distance there needs to be a total of 10. Okay. Then, this dot here, so from the top of the mug to this dot here, that distance there needs to be a little bit more than what I have there. It needs to be a total of 14. Well, we had, 14, a little bit higher than the last one. 14 millimeters. So it'll move down like that. And from the bottom of the mug to this dot here, that distance there needs to be 18. We'll put in at 16. 16 looks to be a better number. So we'll use 16 for that. Then, from the edge of the mug to that dot there, that distance needs to be 20. And from the edge of the mug to that dot there, that measurement there needs to be 17. And that gets the main profile shape of the handle in place. There's one measurement I'm going to change, however. I'm going to change the number 15 and I'm going to change, the number 14, which is just over here. And this is good for everybody to learn how to do this as well. I'm going to change that 14 to a 16. So I'm going to double click that number, double click the 14, type in 16 instead, and click the green tick. That's better. Now, the sketch should turn black like what I have now. If the sketch does not turn black, you might need to try again a few more times. Okay, you might need to try again a few more times to get it into the right place. Also, another measurement I want to change, and I'm just looking here, that gap is a little bit too narrow there, and I have the mug here beside me. I want to just change this 15 over here. I want that to actually be 17 instead. Perfect, that's better than looking at. That's bang on. If that doesn't happen for you, if you don't get the numbers looking like this and you're having trouble with it, any of these numbers, you're best off to rewind the video and start again, because that's all that's going to happen when I come down to the computer with you. So when you have all that done and you're happy with it, push escape on your keyboard once and then push this purple button that's up here on the right hand side. And you'll exit the sketch. Now that's not the handle, that's just a profile for the handle to follow. Next thing we have to do now is we have to put a plane and attach to that dot, and that plane has to be the right plane. So I'm going to go to reference geometry, I'm going to go to plane. Now this might slow down your PC when you click it for the first time, so give your PC a chance for it to open up everything. The first thing I do is I click this little plus that's up here. It's kind of tricky to pick it out, but there's a small plus up here. I click that plus, and I'm going to click the word right. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over here. Don't worry about any of this. You totally ignore that. I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to click that dot there at the end of the spline. When that happens, everything is ready. I click the green tick. I then hit the space bar. And I'm going to click the option here, normal to. Now, what I'm going to do is anywhere I like on this blue, I'm going to right click, I'm going to click sketch. I'm going to go up here to rectangle, and I'm going to make sure I pick center rectangle as my option. And anywhere I like over here to one side where it's out of the way, for the moment, I'm going to draw a rectangle. That rectangle, its width on the top is a total of 17. And the distance on the side, its thickness, is a total of 11. So all I'm doing there with the mouse, when I have smart dimensioning switched on, so I click the line, a number appears, I drag it out anywhere I like, I click again, the box appears, I type in the number. But you only need to do it for 2 lines. You don't need to tell all 4 lines their measurement. So that done, I click the green tick. I now move it that it's slightly 3D because I want to be able to see this dot here at the end. I click that dot. It's kind of hard, but it will pick up. I'm going to click that dot. I hold down Control on my keyboard, CTRL, bottom left hand corner of your keyboard, and I'm keeping that held down. I'm clicking the middle of the rectangle. And what I'm looking for then is the option over here on the left hand side, which is consonant. You can let go of Control at this point, and you can click the word consonant. And what will happen is the rectangle will literally super glue itself onto the end of the spline that we were starting with. When I have that done, I click the green tick. Now there's a few things we're going to do now that will save us an awful lot of work later on. We're going to put fillets onto this rectangle. So I'm going to sketch fillet. It's just here. I'm making sure that my fillet is set to 3. That's the magic number, 3. I click this corner here. I click that corner there. I click this corner here. And I click this corner here. All 4 corners of the rectangle. When you have that done, click the green tick. Now a whole bunch of green dots are going to appear. You just totally ignore them. Just click the green tick again. Don't even look at those green dots. There's nothing to worry about there. It looks very messy, but that's just the software keeping a relationship with all the fillets. Once I have that all done, I click this purple button up here on the right hand side. Now, next job, we're going to go to Features, and we're going to go to Swept Boss Base. It wants to know what profile do you want to sweep first. Click the rectangle anywhere you like, but don't click the middle lines by accident. Click the outside edge. Maybe make sure you pick that top line. Then it wants to know what pathway do you want to follow. Click the spline. And what you will see happening is the handle is starting to form now for the mug. Once you have that done, click the green tick. Now the handle is on the mug. Okay? Last thing to do is we have to put a fillet on it here. So I go to fillet again. I'm going to change it from 10 to 3. I click this top edge here, let it update. And then at the bottom, I click this top edge here, let it update. Once that's happened, you click the green tick. Now, so that's the handle on the mug. So the next thing we have to do now is to make the mug hollow, because at the moment you wouldn't be able to put much liquid into it the way it is. So we're going to make it hollow all the way down into it. Now there's a little bit of drawing in this, but not as hard as what we did with the handle. So I'm going to go to the front plane. I'm going to click the first button, sketch. I'm going to hit the space bar. I'm going to click normal to. Now, this line, this plane here might be annoying you, okay? And since we don't need it anymore, I'm just going to move it into 3D a little bit. I'm going to right click anywhere I like on that plane. And I'm going to click the button hide. Now that can be a bit tricky to find. Okay, we'll have to ignore it for the moment. Just click normal to again. It'll turn back flat in front of us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to line. And I'm going to draw a line from the origin So I'll just click the origin, I go straight up. Up, 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 as far as you like. Make sure you go outside the mug. I click again. I then go to the left. I click again, but I don't go outside the mug, I'm staying inside the mug. I go down to the mug. I come flat a little bit. I go back down to the mug again. I go flat for a little bit. I go back down to the mug again. I go flat all the way across to where I started. And I push escape. So that's probably a little bit tricky. You might want to watch that a few times on the camera. I then go to trim. And I make sure power trim is on. And I'm going to zoom in here on the bottom. I'm going to trim this bottom line off. I'm basically going to delete this last little line here. So I hold down left click and I drag it across that line. Done. Click the green tick. Now, a couple of things here to do now. I'm going to push escape on my keyboard a few times. I'm going to go to smart dimension. This line here, its dimension has to be 41. So I type in 41 and I push equals. Okay. The next one is that this little flat line here, it has to be 5. So I type in 5 and I push equals. This little flat line here, it has to be 9. I type in 9 and I push equals. And this line here, that has to be 27, exactly what came up. So just click OK when that comes up, it's perfect. And I push escape on my keyboard to stop dimensions. Now you might notice now that this is after moving away from the origin, which is not a good thing. So I'm going to click that dot there. I'm going to hold down control on my keyboard. I'm going to click this here. And I'm going to click the option vertical over here on the left hand side. That'll put it back into the correct place. Now more dimensions again, so I go back to smart dimension. The distance from this line to the top of the mug has to be 25. Type in 25, push equals. The distance from the top of the mug to this line here, which is the most important measurement, because the lid has to fit into it, it has to be 15. So make sure that's 15. Very important measurement. The distance from the bottom of the mug to that line there, that has to be 4. So whatever's coming up there, make sure it's 4 millimeters. And I click the green tick. And finally then, the distance from this line to the bottom of the mug, it has to be twice the 4. It has to be 8. Okay, so there's a lot of measurement going in there. Again, you might need to pause and rewatch this to make sure you're okay. We're going back to sketch fillet. I'm making sure my sketch fillet now is changed from 3 to 2.5. That's very important, 2.5. I click this corner here. I click this corner here. Okay, so I made the same mistake last time. So 2.5 is too big, it has to be 2.4. Now it'll work. So I click this corner here. So 2.4. Click this corner here. Click this corner here. And this corner here. Oh no, that one has to be done separately at the end. So everything else except that corner there. And I click the green tick. Now we're ready to cut out the middle of the mug. Okay, so we're going to cut it out. I click the green tick again. I go to features. I go to swept revolved cut. Revolved cut. I click this box here once. I click this line anywhere I like. It'll now do a cut on the inside of the mug. I click the green tick. And now when you look down into the mug, it's been hollowed out. But there's one thing I forgot, and it couldn't happen until now. There's a fillet to go here. It's not very important, but I click the word fillet. I change from 3 to 1. I click that little edge in there, and I click the green tick. Okay, and that's your first part made. And in fact, probably the most difficult part that you'll have to make of this travel mug. There are a few other fillets you can put on in your own time. They're only 1 mil radius. So you can click fillet, You can leave it at 1. That edge there has to be a 1mm. The outside edge has to be a 1mm fillet. And the bottom of it has to be a 1mm fillet as well. They're not vitally important, but they are on the mug. So you can put them on as well. They just kind of soften the mug like what you would see when you have it in class. It doesn't look as harsh now on the edges anymore. Okay, so that's that. Going to save it now. I go File, Save As. We're going to save it to the desktop and we're going to call it, and we're going to be very careful what we call these things. So Part 1 Travel Mug 1 Main Body. Okay. Now make sure, folks, that you save it to the desktop like what I'm doing now. I've clicked desktop, but you also need to save this onto a USB key, and you need to email it to yourself by attaching it to an email, which will be shown in class. You don't want to lose these parts, and if something happens to the computer you're working on, you won't be able to get these parts back again. So make sure you double save everything. When you have that done, click save. And that's the end of the first video. Thanks very much.